everyone to our first mystery guest MNCs. And I am so pleased to welcome Leykia Nulan. And Leykia is our new Dean of Admissions, so we're really super excited to welcome her on and get started with her. So, Leykia, welcome. Are you excited to be here?
Yeah, this is my first live event that I am conducting digitally. So I'm happy to get this started and happy to say hello to everybody.
Excellent. And we're so glad to have you with us. For those who are joining the webinar, there is a chat feature that we're happy to receive questions on as we're going through. And Danielle is here. Danielle Lund is our Associate Director of Digital Engagement. And Danielle, if you don't mind following the chat room, that would be fantastic. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Nancy Bellows Perez, who is the Executive Director of the Alumnae Association, who is also on. So thank you all for joining, and we are going to get started. Colleen Del Vecchio, who is also part of our team. It takes a whole full team to get these going. She is also going to be helping us out today. So pay attention to your chat feature, and to access your chat feature, you can just hover over your lower screen, and it should be blinking orange right now for those of you who are on video. For those of you who are on the phone, we are looking forward to having you send your questions in. You can do that by emailing dlund@mtholyoke.edu if you'd like us to go ahead and ask your questions as we're going through. Okay, so Kia. So did you want to do a quick intro with your name and your pronouns and get us started to give people a little sense of who you are and what brought you to Mount Holyoke?
So again, my name is Leykia Nulan, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am originally from Brooklyn, New York, and have been living in the Valley since 2009, so for a good long time. And I have been working at different schools in the area. So I've worked at 3 of 5 schools in the 5 college consortium here. And I most recently, I first came to the area to work at Amherst College in their Office of Admission. And I worked there for about 6 years, and then left that position for a similar role in enrollment management at UMass Amherst, and now I'm at Mount Holyoke. I started on October 1st, so not too long ago, and this has been a really great adventure for me. Couldn't have picked a more exciting time to start this work, considering that we have a worldwide pandemic to deal with, but this is definitely a move that I made because I believe in the values of the institution, and really because I wanted an opportunity to, 1, return to the liberal arts, and 2, to be able to speak for an institution that really gets to the heart of everything that I believe in terms of supporting women in their educational aspirations and providing access in an equitable manner. So I truly believe in the things that Mount Holyoke stands for, and I feel really honored to have the opportunity to represent the college in this forum and in others, and to share the light that it shines with students who might find this to be a transformative place for them.
That's great. Thank you, Kia.
Yeah.
And so what has been the best part of your week, given the new climate of virtual engagement and just being mostly on Zoom calls, I imagine?
Yeah. The Zoom calls, I always thought, man, it would be so great to work from home, and that, I apologize in advance if anybody hears my husband or the toddler on the other side of the door chatting, playing, making shrill scream noises because they're having fun. But I think this has been a tough transition, and sitting in meeting after meeting after meeting I think I underestimated how draining it is on your brain.
Mhm.
And by the time you get to the end of the day or the end of the week, you're just like, enough of it. But I would say the most rewarding part of this week has been, for sure, seeing my colleagues participate in the little virtual non-work related events that we have. Like on their own, they decided that we're going to have a happy hour today from 4 to 5, which I love. I will probably eat more cookies and drink more beverages at that point as well. And I just love the fact that, as difficult as this has been, I've been hearing nothing but good things about how much more connected people feel. I know that seems ironic because we're physically distancing, but people feel like we're on the same page and we're checking in. We check in, for a while, we were checking in every morning. And people really feel like they have a good sense of what's going on in the office and what's going on with each other. Just, are you well? Is home okay? Are your family members doing all right? And coaching each other on, go for a walk, take a break. That has been really encouraging.
That's great. So Kia, I know people are chiming in with their cookies and their milk beverages, and I'm wondering, what is your go-to milk and cookies? What do you got going on this morning?
I've got some right here in this beautiful elephant mug. I don't know if you can see that well. Yes. It's my favorite, and I guard it like it's gold and nobody else gets to drink out of it. But I don't have, so unfortunately I'm lactose intolerant, so I don't get to drink milk anymore. And I blame that all on the children because they messed up my body chemistry. I used to be able to drink milk just fine. So right now I'm having tea, and unfortunately I already ate my cookies, which was cornbread this morning.
Oh, delicious.
So don't sleep on the cornbread. I had it for breakfast. It was so good. I got Stonewall Kitchen, a little box from Atkins Farms actually, and I got the last box that they had, and we baked it up, and there were 2 pieces left, and it was yummy. So
that's awesome. So just so you know, apparently you're not alone in the homemade cornbread option. There are some folks chiming in. And we do have a question that's come up, which is perfect timing. Will admissions be doing virtual new student events? Can you talk a little about what's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to be launching our virtual new student events actually this Sunday. So we'll have some events on April 5th, 6th, and 7th. And we're going to kick off with a welcome from myself and President Stevens. And then we're going to roll into a live chat with some students. And then we will we'll do this. We'll celebrate the class of 2024's first tradition with milk and cookies. And then we're going to play, I don't think this is a secret anymore. I can tell you, we're going to play Kahoot. So it's MHC trivia, which should be really fun. And we made it like not too hard, not too easy. So there's definitely some questions that you should be able to answer, even if you've never visited or haven't read our whole website. But there's some hard ones in there that we were like, even I didn't know the answer to them. I was kind of guessing. So that's how we're gonna kick everything off. And then the following 2 nights, we will run living learning community sessions with faculty and staff from around campus who provide information on resource areas like student life. And then folks will have another opportunity to hear specifically about academics from students and staff, or faculty rather, in those academic areas. And then the 3rd night we'll have some international chats that'll actually start early in the morning and go throughout the evening with a few more events. So, of course we wish that we could do all of this stuff in person, but this is a new adventure for us, and I think it's gonna be pretty exciting. So we all have the same butterflies you get before your open house, even though, it's all virtual. So it should be
That's
fun.
amazing. So congratulations to you and the team on that. There are a lot of questions popping up. So we're going to keep on plugging through here. How many students, if you can share, were accepted early decision and have any messages about their status been sent out?
Yes, so for sure we have shared messages with all of our early decision and regular decision applicants. So for regular decision and early decision combined, we've got about a little over 1,500 students, and about 269 students, or half of what we're looking for to fill the class, was actually yielded. So that many people said yes to us from our ED pool. And our ED pool was actually bigger this year than it was in previous years, probably the largest we've ever had. And we admitted about 42-43% of those students. So we actually were banking on filling the majority of the class early. And the good news about that is those students want us, right? They come to us because they are very interested, and they're signaling to us that they're interested and serious about attending by signing an early decision agreement. And so we're typically pretty generous, and we want to say yes to as many of those students as possible. So pretty early on, we knew that we would have a good chunk of the class filled with just early decision. So about 50% of our students have already said yes. And they have also been invited to all of our virtual yield events. Their parents have been invited as well. And we've done the same with regular decision applicants too.
Great, that's fantastic. So I have to, of course, acknowledge the Green Griffin shout out for 2017, who's asking this question, is what can alums do to help welcome these new students and welcome them to Mo?
Well, I had to get reeled in because I have all these ideas for alum, and my colleagues told me I was not following protocol. Because I'm like, yes, let's get them doing chats and phonathons and emails and all these fun things. And you can help us. Right now, we're thinking about a plan to actually get phone calls out to admitted students who, we really want to be careful about this and not overdo it, because we realize everybody's doing this. But we are thinking about the students who may be on the fence and haven't actually deposited. Maybe we want to send them a note and say, hey, we'd like to give you a phone call. So we're figuring out who can help us with that, right? We know we really can't tap faculty because they're very, very busy. So we're definitely going to be reaching out to alum, but we're still figuring out the plan. I have asked for this to be done in no more than 3 days and to take time zones into consideration. So once we get everything mapped out with the physical number of students that we need to do outreach to, how long that will take, and what timing of day it has to happen, then we'll disperse a plan and how people can help us. But I think the biggest thing that you can do to help us right now is to actually sign up through the hub to actually help us officially, so that you can get training and you can sort of be indoctrinated with how admission counselors speak to these students and what's been going on, potentially get lists of students who are in your area. And I have seen some wonderful things already, including videos that different groups have made. Our alumni admission volunteers are really leading a charge with digital emails, digital rose drops, and videos and all types of stuff that I could not have imagined them putting together, and feel extremely grateful for them asking. So what I can do is certainly figure out some way maybe we can share my colleague Heidi Merrill's contact information, or even direct them to the hub if that's the best thing to do.
Yeah, we can totally send the admissions email for anybody that's interested. We'll include it here and send those along to any of the registrants on today. So for those of you who are asking about where's the hub, what is the hub? So the hub is a volunteer platform that we offer for the volunteers of Mount Holyoke College, and they break out within admissions, the Alumnae Association, and the Office of Advancement. So we are happy to send you to, there's an interest form for any volunteers that are looking to help out in admissions, and we can send those along, and then we'll move you along that process. And Leykia mentioned Heidi Merrill. She is one of the leads for the volunteer engagement domestically. So, and not to forget about our international alums. We also have an international point of contact for admissions as well. So we'll be sure to share all of that information out following this webinar. So, Kia, we have just a couple minutes left, and so I would urge participants, if you want to ask a question, to do so now. But in the meantime, I know you've recently joined campus. Is there a particular place that you consider your favorite location on campus?
Uh-huh. I would say for sure I am mesmerized every time I go into that beautiful room in the library that is modeled after Westminster, I believe it is. I
Mhm.
need to know this. If anybody is going to be on our Kahoot uh, uh, challenge tonight or Sunday night, this is one of the questions. And I think it's modeled after Westminster. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. And every time I'm there, I'm reminded of the possibilities, the potential, and just how beautiful Mount Holyoke is and what we're doing. So that's my favorite place so far. There are quite a few captivating places on campus. And I must say that Mount Holyoke College is the first school that I've ever worked at where the buildings actually look similar. And I've always wanted to work at a college that to me felt like a quintessential New England institution, and this one does.
Mhm.
Now, the downside of that is that I never know where I'm going because the buildings all look the same. But the upside is that it's absolutely breathtaking inside and out. And so I would say the library is my favorite place so far.
That is great. So we have just a couple of clarifying questions that you mentioned the trivia contest on Sunday. Is that open to alums? And if so, how can they access it? And the other question was for the virtual meetups that you're doing with students, is that a space for alums, or what, how can we have them participate?
Sure. So I do know that you have to be an admitted student to register for these events. I'm not sure if we have, so let's say you have a child who is an admitted student, you may also be able to register. But what I can do is at the very least figure out ways in which we might be able to help you engage with students via chat. I do know that we have a live chat happening with our current students because of course we know that newly admitted students want to speak to current students the most. They definitely don't want to speak to admission people anymore. So we're working on different opportunities, but also thinking about how to provide the right space and to make sure that everybody gets the most out of it. So if anyone is interested, I can share my information after this too. And more than likely though, we'll direct you to Heidi, my colleague who oversees our alumni connections.
Perfect. And so Kia, we'll send that out to everybody as well,
Okay.
with all of the information that you've offered. So as long as people are willing to stay on and continue asking questions, do you have a few more minutes to stay on?
I do.
Great.
Dedicated some time.
Excellent. I love it. So there's a lot of interest. So warn Heidi.
Yes.
She'll be getting a surge of communications as soon as we get this information out to them. And so the other thing that we're seeing here is it could be helpful for admission volunteers to attend some of these events to be able to speak to what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah.
So let me give you some context on why that isn't so easy for us. We are very, very conscious of the fact that zombies and Zoom bombers and Zoom raiders are out there in the world. And so in order for us to host our events in a safe way with as little risk as possible of someone taking over it, we have actually disabled the chat function. So you will see if you were participating in any of our events, it would look pretty bare because the students who join can't see one another. We can't see them. And all of these things have to be done, one, to protect their identities, two, because some of them may be minors, they may not be 18 yet, and they can't consent to being, say, recorded or something like that. But three, because we want to make sure that someone who doesn't belong in the chat doesn't get to take over it. We have a totally different system that we use to allow questions to come in, much of which have to be submitted in advance. So even though the chat is live, one of the chats that we're doing will be live, it will be, it won't be as, it won't be formatted in a way that would be as simple as if an alum was to join, they would be able to just chat with other people in the group, because participants can't chat with each other at all. So that said, we really are still thinking about how we can provide these opportunities given the limitations that the technology has for the safety of the students and the protection of the college. So we've got to figure this out, but it's not as simple as we thought it was going to be.
As we are discovering, right, in this new world of the digital age of working from home, managing through crisis. So we have another question coming on, and again, a reminder to participants to feel free to continue asking these questions, and we'll try to get them all answered before we transition off. So the question here is, how are you working with those students who will be seniors next year in this environment? Many would now be doing campus tours and working to kind of welcome the new students along.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of what we're trying to do as quickly as possible is to create digital content so that students can still have an idea of what campus has to offer, even though they may not be able to attend in person. One of the things that we are currently just working on finishing touches for is a campus tour. So we've now seen maybe 5 or 6 drafts of it, and we're adding the captioning to it, which is the last step, and then that'll go up live on our website. Of course, we've resumed our information sessions. So we offer sessions 3 times a week for newly admitted students, and in the coming week, we will start to offer sessions for juniors, sophomores, first years, or any prospective student who might be interested in learning more. And so we're trying to be as thoughtful as possible about how to replicate what we've already done. The same goes with interviews. If students are interested in interviews, we are conducting them. They can sign up to have them conducted via Skype or via Zoom if that's what they prefer. And then beyond that, we're looking to digitize as much as we can. So anything that we do over the next few days, we're going to be recording so that we can publish that material so that students don't necessarily have to be logged in at the times that we have things scheduled to be able to see them. They won't be able to see the chat pieces because that's all protected information, but they'll at least get to see the panelists present and any questions that the moderator might have for those panelists. Beyond that, we're going to keep going, right? So we have a list of things that we want to digitize. We have heavily monopolized the time of our marketing and communications office and recognize that. And they have agreed to push us through this yield season. But I think after that, we're probably going to fall a little bit lower on their list. So things may slow down, but we will keep trying as best as we can to turn out new material as often as possible. We've thought about mini classes. We don't want to burden faculty and ask them to record something new. So we're trying to think about a good way to pitch this idea of asking faculty who may have a class they're confident in sharing with the public, right? And if they're already doing that on Zoom, would they mind perhaps recording it so that we can see if this works? We realize it may not, right? Because it's not the same experience as being in a classroom live and filming that when you've got the professor in one location and all of their students somewhere else digitally. So again, the challenges abound, and we're trying to be really thoughtful about how to best present material, but our plan is to digitize as much as possible. We went completely digital with our admit packet, which I thought was beautiful. And I think we're gonna have some really cool material when we come out on the other side of this.
Kia, can you talk more about what that digital package looks like kind of if you're getting any positive feedback or if any students are speaking out about it specifically?
Oh yeah, so we have learned that our students do not speak via email, they speak via social media. So that's where we hear most of how people feel. And I will say this as an example, after the admit packets went out, our Instagram page got an additional 2,000 followers in one night. So it was quite an incredible experience if that's any indication of the value. But we were able to put together sort of a stop animation video of the physical admit packet, which we had a copy of, and what essentially looks like someone opening that envelope and pulling out each piece. And then we digitized all of the cool elements that you don't get when you don't have paper, like stickers that you could print out and put on the back of your laptop. So instead of just giving the stickers, we morphed them into Facebook and Instagram backdrops for your own photo that you could use to say, I am a Mount Holyoke class of 2024 member, or Mount Holyoke family member, or Mount Holyoke parent. And then we also included coloring book pages. So you don't need to find something sticky to recreate a sticker per se, when you have coloring book pages that you can potentially print out and actually use. And one of our good colleagues at the college drew several images of campus in black and white, including the Laurel Parade, and we were able to share that as part of the admit packet. So it had a lot of character, really, really beautifully done. And then the student would open that up, see their admit portal, which had beautiful pictures, video that we had, all the stuff we already had digitized, but actually we just took that paper element and tried to give the illusion of someone opening an envelope, which was really cool. And we got tons of good feedback. Yeah.
So we have a COVID-19 question and the impact on the fall. How are you thinking to handle gap year requests, time off requests from both prospective students and current if some don't want to start their first semester online?
Sure. Yeah, we've been thinking a lot about this. Also thinking about how do we get an FAQ up? We have an FAQ up for admitted students, but you need to have been admitted to actually get the link to that page, although it's a freestanding page. But for prospective students and students who are coming in the next wave, we're actively working right now to get an FAQ up for them. And we are talking often about gap year requests, the potential, the impact that that might have on the finances for the college. We're talking about the fact that visas are delayed and that this will heavily impact our international population. We have plans in the background to be proactive if we need to actually go out with notification to students and say we encourage them to take a gap semester or a gap year. But right now, we sort of did the back end work in how we chose to admit students into which start term in anticipation that this would come, right? And so you'll see that there are a larger amount of students who have the potential to be impacted by not being able to get a visa in time, who have already been placed in the spring admit pool. So we are certainly anticipating that there will be issues, not just with, additional gap year requests, but how are students and families going to manage their finances when many Americans, millions of Americans are losing their jobs? Their financial packages will need to reflect that in some form or fashion. It may impact their ability to take out loans. We're thinking about what happens if we have more beds available because fewer students show up in the fall, but then on the back end of that, because fewer students are studying abroad, maybe because they can't, what does that mean? And so there are many levers that are all being pulled at the same time that we're thinking about and working hard to come out with guidance that is sound, given that we know nothing about what will happen in the coming weeks, right? So we can make recommendations and we do that weekly, but we also have to be flexible. And we plan to work with students who need accommodations.
Perfect. So along the same lines, will this digitization change the way you function in the future post social distancing?
I think so. I think it will change what we do in a really good way, and that it will allow us to enter into spaces that maybe we have not been able to historically. For one, our entire staff has had to get real familiar with platforms that many people never used. Everybody now is Google chatting and hanging out. Everybody knows how to use Zoom. We've got people who know how to moderate in Zoom, when 2 weeks ago, people were like, I don't even know my login, right? I don't even know how to get into the program. So in many ways, we will be much more comfortable using technology. We have a person who is completely remote, and that individual has worked remote since forever. And she's like, I've never felt as connected to the office as I do now. And that's partly because everyone has to use the technology. We have already put on our emergency response team list of things to think about travel for this fall. And it's a little too soon for us to make the call. We've got it tagged as something we want to keep our eyes on. But if we do have to postpone travel, we will most certainly need to replicate what we do on the road digitally. And so that may mean more digital preview weekends and open houses, digital information sessions, digital college fairs, which we've already been invited to. And so our work is going to change rapidly. And we know that there will be people who prefer this method going forward, and may say, you know what, we like it as is. We're going to keep using this. Or, you know, if it's cost effective and students don't have to travel and colleagues don't have to travel, let's hop in a Zoom meeting and actually give students a chance to ask their questions. So I think it will come out better for all of the wear.
Well, in that same note of positivity, what is one of the things that gives you hope in this moment about how MHC weathers this successfully?
What gives me hope is hearing how colleagues across campus are centering on gratefulness. And I think this is a time where we could really mope about how difficult things are and maybe even lose sight of what's important. But I have heard time and time and time again so much praise and so many words of thanks and gratitude at how kind people have been, how responsive people have been, how thoughtful they've been. I don't even have words to express to lips how thankful we are. But I think yesterday in our town hall on campus, someone stopped to say, we need to thank the president. We need to thank the officers. We need to thank all of the people who report to them, who've been doing the work of generating these really important and difficult questions from every area of campus, because that work is not seen by everyone, and it's grueling. And it is, you know, I think I have it hard because we've got a little person who is ripping our house apart while we are trying to work. But there are people who are in meetings literally 12 to 16 hours a day trying to work on every single thing that you in the audience are thinking about right now. And the gratitude for that has been tremendous. And that gives me that, in addition to the fact that Mount Holyoke has managed this crisis opportunity in a way that is spectacular. And that's not my assessment. That is an external assessment of someone who's working with each school in the 5 colleges saying, you got it right. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. I've seen how this has impacted each school and how they functioned around getting their messages out and making decisions. This place is doing it right. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel like our leadership is spectacular, and there is nothing better than working with the colleagues that I have. So all I can hope for is more time to continue to cultivate good relationships and to see how this all plays out.
Well, I love that. And with that, I am going to express my own gratitude to you and everyone that's on the webinar today. Thank you so much, Kia, for joining us and sharing some of your view with us. We're very excited to see what the new class year brings to Mount Holyoke, both physically and virtually, whatever we may move forward on. And I'm just going to put a quick reminder out to folks. Danielle has shared a Powered By link on the chat features, and she's done it again. Thank you, Danielle. We are going to be hosting these mystery guest MNCs, every Friday at noon. So please be sure to tune back and join us. We will also have other resources on the Powered By page that will allow folks to stay engaged and feel engaged with us. So I have forgotten to introduce myself, so I do apologize. Making sure I check off everybody's name, I forgot my own. So I am Janencia Wood. I am the Director of Inclusion and Events for alums, and so I'm very happy to be here and hosting this session with my peers and of course with Leykia. So thank you all again so very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in some other webinars over the next few weeks. Thank you. Thanks, Kia.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
All right, see you around the virtual space.
Yes, of course.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.